So previous class we have discussed 2 marks question answers in the fourth chapter, that is plant kingdom. So today we are going to discussing about short answer questions which carry the 4 marks, in examination level. So the first question in the short answer questions is differentiate between a red algae and a brown algae. Red algae and a brown algae. So already we know that algae are the photosynthetic, autotrophic, photosynthetic and non-flowering plants. Non-flowering plants means they do not develop any flowers. So algae generally they have 11 classes. 11 classes, but in intermediate level we will study about 4 classes only, that is chlorophyceae and rhodophyceae, phaeophyceae and xanthophyceae. So but here in intermediate, so this is the most important question, that is red algae and brown algae. So red algae is nothing but it belongs to a class is called Rhodophyceae. Rhodophyceae. So red algae is also called Rhodophyceae. RHODOPH. Rhodophyceae. So Rhodophyceae. Red algae also called Rhodophyceae. PHYACEAE. ACEAE. So Rhodophyceae. Similarly, when you take brown algae, so brown algae also called Phaeophyceae. Brown algae is also called what? Phaeophyceae. So the first point when you go to the deeply, the first point in red algae, majority of the red algae are marine. So which means red algae mostly live in marine water. So they are found in mainly greater concentration found in the warmer areas. So in hot conditions, marine water, these red algae should live. So in brown algae, the first point they are found in primarily in marine habitats. So these are also found in marine habitats. So when we go to the second point, most important, the red algae are rhodophyceous organisms, cell walls. So polysaccharide called agar. So in their cell wall, we can see a carbohydrate, that is a polysaccharide is called agar in their cell walls. So here in cell walls, so a gelatinous coating, we should see that algin. So in red algae, their cell wall is composed of a chemical substance is called agar, whereas brown algae cell walls composed of a chemical or gelatinous coating is called algin. So next here, third point, the red thalli of most of the red algae are multicellular. Some of them have complex body organisms. So here, the algae which belongs to red Rhodophyceae, they are totally multicellular organisms. So here in brown algae, that is nothing but Phaeophyceae, they show great variation in size and form. So they range from simple branched filamentous forms to profusely branched forms. So here maximum in brown algae, example ectocarpus, when you take so it has the branches it has branches. It has branches. The brown algae have the branches and filamentous, two profusely branched. Profusely branched means total more number of branches, aggregate manner. So in this way, the major differences. So let us continue the fourth point. In fourth point, when you discuss about here, they possesses chlorophyll A, phycobilins, and also they consist a red pigment is called R-picoerythrin. Because of presence of this one, these algae are called red algae or rhodophyceae because of presence of this pigment, that is R-picoerythrin. So they all the rhodophyceae members are the red algae. They consist pigments chlorophyll A, phycobilins, chlorophyll A, chlorophyll A, phycobilins, and R-picoerythrin. So why the red algae are rhodophyceae members? They are red in color means due to presence of a pigment is called R-picoerythrin. R-picoerythrin. So next here, next when you take here fourth point, here the fourth point is there. So they possess a chlorophyll A and C, carotenoids and xanthophylls. So because of presence of a pigment is called fucoxanthin, they are the brown in color. So here the given brown color is due to the xanthophyll pigment is called fucoxanthin. So they also have a pigments chlorophyll A they have, and chlorophyll C they have, and also carotenoids they have, and xanthophylls. So one type of xanthophyll, that is fucoxanthin, present in this algae. Due to presence of this fucoxanthin in the algae, they are the brown color, or what we can say that is Pheophyceae. So let us go to the fifth point. In fifth point, when we take in red algae, the food is stored as a Floridian starch. It is most important in red algae or rhodophyceae algae. Which type of food material is present means Floridian starch. The stored food material in this red algae is called Floridian starch, and it is similar to a amylopectin and glycogen. So this Floridian starch is similar to amylopectin and glycogen. So where you take Pheophyceae or brown algae, the carb food material which is stored in them, laminarin or mannitol. This is most important. It is one of the carbohydrate. So laminarin or mannitol is present in the stored form the food material in the brown algae or Pheophyceae members. So when we take about sixth point here in this red algae, in the same way here also sixth point in the brown algae. So red algae or rhodophyceae members, they reproduce asexually by non-motile spores. Here non-motile means imagine these are the spores, but these spores will not move themselves. So that is called a non-motile. So they reproduce non-motile spores. So when you take sixth point in the brown algae, asexual reproduction in the most is biflagellate zoospores that are pear-shaped, have two unequal laterally attached flagella. So here they reproduce asexual by spores produced. These spores have the flagella. These spores have a flagella. These are the flagella. So when you take these spores, they do not have any flagella. That is why they won't move here and there. These the spores are the reproductive units which are produced in the brown algae. They have the generally they have the flagella. That is the reason they are the movable. This flagella is unequal. One is tall, one is short. So next, so whereas in red algae, the sexual reproduction is oogamous and accompanied by the complex forced fertilization development. So here oogamous type means female egg is always stable and the reproductive gametes will be moved, that is male, from where the female gamete is there. So that is called oogamous. So where the sexual reproduction in generally when you take in Phaeophyceae or brown algae, isogamous means both male and female gametes are same. That is called isogamous. Anisogamous means, so for example, female is small, large, and male is small gamete. That is called anisogamous. Oogamous means, so the egg cell remain in the same, but sperms will move, anthrozoids will move to the towards the egg cell. So that is called oogamous type. So in this oogamous, which is stable means female gamete is the stable. So male gamete will move reach to the female gamete and fission will be takes place. So totally here in Phaeophyceae or brown algae, the reproduction regarding to the sexual reproduction is either maybe isogamous or anisogamous or oogamous. And the next last eighth point. So whatever gametes produced in the red algae are Phaeophyceae, red algae and rhodophyceae, and they are non-motile, whereas gametes are pyriform and pear-shaped and bear two lateral attached flagella. Because of flagella attaching to their gametes, gametes reach to the female gamete and fusion will be takes place. So non-motile and motile. Motile means not move. Not sorry, non-motile means not move, and motile means movable. So here examples they given about rhodophyceae. Rhodophyceae member algae is for pyra. What it is? For pyra. Whereas brown algae is the fucus, sorry, not ficus, fucus algae. Fucus algae. So it has air bladder, midrib, and front. Hold fast. Hold fast is a part of the algae which help to the attach the algae to the bottom. That is substratum. So that is the hold fast. So examples you have to remember for the rhodophyceae or red algae. The example is Parpyra, whereas example for Phaeophyceae or brown algae is called Fucus. What it is? Fucus. So next to go to the second question, that is differentiate between liverworts and mosses. Liverworts belong, so actually Bryophyta, so it is the division of the plant kingdom, and this division does not contain any flower and fruit yielding plants. So all these liverworts and mosses, they do not develop any flowers. So they belongs to Bryophyta phylum. Bryophyta phylum. So in these three classes, that is Thallophyta. Sorry, no, sorry. Thallophyta not. It belongs to algae. So here what we should call Bryophyta. So Bryophyta is generally three. So Bryophyta is generally three classes. That is three divisions. That is Hepaticopsida, Anthoceratopsida, and Bryopsida. Keep in your mind. So the division, that is what we can say about algae and Bryophyta. So the Bryophyta has three classes or three divisions. That is what we can say Hepaticopsida, Hepaticopsida, Anthoceratopsida, and Bryopsida. These are the three important classes in the bryophytes. So in which liverworts and mosses. So liverworts belongs to a class is called Hepaticopsida. Hepaticopsida. Mosses called Bryopsida. So the first point in the liverworts, gametophyte is consisting of one stage. So here the gametophyte is exhibit more, and it live a long and independent. So in mosses, gametophyte consists of two stages. That is, the first stage is called protonema. First stage is called protonema. The second stage is called a leafy stage. So whereas in liverworts or Hepaticopsida class, the liverworts regarding to the gametophytes, so they contain only one stage. But whereas in mosses, Bryopsida class, it exhibit the gametophyte exhibit three classes, three stages: protonema and leafy stage. So when you go to the second point of this question, the plant body of a liverwort is thalloid. So generally, the plant body is like a pillow, a thalloid. So imagine, so like a pillow, it is like a liver. So that is the name, that is the reason only this class of the Bryophyta is called what Hepaticopsida liverworts. So they don't, they are the, uh, so thallus exhibit both the body is said to be thalloid, the body is said to be thalloid, and the thallus is dorsiventral and closely oppressed to the substrate. Dorsiventral means outer part is, and down part, the substratum. So outer part which is exposed to the sunlight and prepare the food material. So the thallus is so dorsiventral. So upper is green in color, lower is brown color. So this thallus of the Hepaticopsida are bryophytes, they have the special. So when we go to the second point, the plant body is upright, slender axis bearing spirally arranged leaves. They are attached to the soil through a multicellular branched rhizoids. So here we can see in Hepaticopsida, they are the flat-ended, green-colored thalloid body. But whereas we take in this mosses, they are the erected, well-developed, leaf-like, stem-like, and root-like. So generally, roots are called rhizoids. So generally, so they have the leaves. So that is the major differences between liverworts and mosses. So the plant body is said to be a flatron, but the plant body is said to be erected one and have the roots are called rhizoids and leaves, and these spots we can see in this mosses. So now third one, asexual reproduction is by fragmentation of thalli. So fragmentation means, so for example, now I am drawing that Marconsia, which is a thalloid and flat-ended uh, liverwort, which is so dorsiventral. Outer is the green part and lower is the brown color. So outermost carried out photosynthesis, and it also small roots it has. So this is the Marconsia, belongs to first class of the Bryophyta, that is nothing but liverworts. So they reproduce by the fragmentation. Fragmentation means, so any part of the thallus is detached and fall onto the soil and again developed a new plant body. This is called fragmentation. So by the specialized structures are called gemma cups. So another type of asexual reproduction which is developed in the uh, liverworts, that is Hepaticopsida. Here there will be cup-like structures are formed in the thalli, in the thallus, cup-like. These cup-like reproductive organs are called gemma cups or gemma. So whereas in fourth one, in sexual reproduction, sorry, here let us discuss about mainly. So the third question here, when you go to the vegetative reproduction in mosses by fragmentation and budding in the secondary protonema. So here we can see fragmentation along with there will be a budding, formation of budding on the secondary protonema. So protonema is the miniature plant body of, so on which what happens, there will be a budding. So buds are formed on the stem, on the branches. Whenever these buds are drop off onto the soil, they develop into a new plant. So that is called budding. Fragmentation means any branch which is detached, separated, fall onto the soil and developed into a new thallus is called fragmentation. So next here, let us go to the fourth point. So your fourth point is during sexual reproduction, male and female sex organs are produced either on the same or on different thalli. So whereas in sexual reproduction, the sex organs are well developed and called antheridia and archegonia. Antheridia belongs to male reproductive organ. Archegonia belongs to a female reproductive organ. So produced at the apex of the leafy shoot. So let us go to the fifth point. Sporophyte is differentiated into photoseta capsule, whereas the sporophyte is consisting of photoseta capsule. The sporophyte in mosses is more elaborate and then that in liverworts. So spore dispersal is mechanism is simple, and the mosses have an elaborate mechanism of spore dispersal. So the sixth one, the mosses have an elaborate mechanism of spore dispersal. Spore dispersal mechanism is simple, and whereas seventh point, the spores germinate to form free living gametophyte. The spore germinate into a protonema, miniature plant body. So here you can see example for liverworts are Hepaticapsida, that is Markansia. So it is a female thallus and it is the male thallus. Whereas you take the liverworts and hornworts, mosses, sorry. So here mosses, I forgotten. So mosses example here, mosses example Funaria. So which is having a erected stem and have well developed leaves and rhizoids roots. So this is the example regarding to the liverworts and mosses. So good morning, students. So previous class we have discussed about first and second 4 marks question answers in the plant kingdom. So today we are going to discuss about third question. So here, what is meant by homosporous and heterosporous pteridophytes? Homosporous, heterosporous. So here pteridophytes, already you know that pteridophytes are the one of the plants which do not have the flowers, but they have the root like, stem like, leaf like structures, and they do not develop the flowers. So because of they do not develop the flowers, and they will not develop any fruits. So, and also these pteridophytes, pterido, here P is the silent, these pteridophytes are the first vascular cryptogams. Cryptogams means they do not develop flowers. The plants which do not develop flowers are called cryptogams plants. So here there will be a two words are there, homosporous and heterosporous pteridophytes. So homo means same, hetero means different. So here this question is, which plants of the pteridophytes develop the homospores and heterospores? So and give examples. Now let us go to this question answer. So function of this sporophyte is to produce the spores. So here imagine whenever you take a plant body, it spanned the entire life in two forms, that is gametophyte and sporophyte, and gametophyte and sporophyte. So usually gametophyte is the in pteridophytes, it is the dependent on sporophyte. So the sporophyte well developed in the pteridophytes, so it developed the spores. The sporophyte developed the spores. So generally spores are produced in the sporangium. So imagine, so this is the twig or a stem part of the pteridophytes which have a sporangium, The sac-like structure is called sporangium, in which there will be a minute microscopic spores are produced. So the sac-like structure is called sporangium. So now this is called sporangium, in which spores dots are indicate that spores. So spores are developed or produced in the sporangium. The spore mother cell undergoes meiotic division to produce haploid spores. So inside the sporangium, there will be a SMC cell. SMC means spore mother cells. Spore mother cells. Imagine, now I will explain clearly, and so this is the sporangium, which is a sac-like structure which is developed by the sporophyte of the pteridophytes. So this is the sac-like structure of the sporangium. Inside there will be a spore mother cells are present. Spore mother cells, SMC, here there, SMC, spore mother cells, SMC. So each spore mother cell undergo meiotic division. Each SMC undergo meiotic division and produces 4 haploid spores. For example, this is the spore mother cell. It undergo meiotic division, MEI, meiotic division, and produces 4 haploid spores. Total 4 haploid spores. Each SMC undergo meiotic division, produces 4 haploid cells and are spores. So spores germinate into haploid gametophyte. So the gametophyte produces sex organs. So imagine this sporangium which is developing on the sporophyte plant body. This is the sporophyte plant body. This is the sporoplant plant body, rhizoids. So this is the sporophyte plant body. This is the sporangium. So the inside the sporangium, the spore mother cells are there. Spore mother cells undergo meiotic and produce the spores. Each spore fall onto the soil. Each spore fall onto the soil and developed the gametophyte plant body. This gametophyte plant body developed the sex organs. So male sex organs, female sex organs are developed by in gametophyte. So gametophyte, already I said, in pteridophytes the plant body is exhibit 2 forms, that is the gametophyte and sporophyte. Sporophyte. Now this is the sporophyte is the dominant in pteridophytes. So this sporophyte produces the spores germinate, gives us to gametophyte. This is the gametophyte. So on the gametophyte there will be sex organs are developed. On the gametophyte, sex organs are developed. So now, if all these spores produced are of only one type, is called homosporous. So here, for example, this is the spore mother cell undergoing meiotic division and produces all are equal spores. All are equal size and shape spores. These are called homospores because of they are all are similar. So hence they are called homosporous. If these spores developed if gametophyte is developed, if gametophyte is developed from these spores, the sporophytic plant cannot be distinguished into male and female gametophyte. So if these homospores responsible for development of the gametophytes, they are not distinguished into male and female gametophyte. So because of all the spores are same, so there will not be any differentiation male and female gametophytes if these spores developed into gametophyte. So they produce both kinds of sex organs on the same gametophyte. So they are called monoecious. In this evolution it is the primitive one. Imagine if these spores developed a gametophyte. So this gametophyte develop the both sex organs on the same plant body. So this is the same gametophyte plant body. In this way, it is developing male sex organ, and also the same way it is developing female sex organ. Both sex organs are developed on the same plant body. So because of it is called monoecious. Monoecious means it has both sex organs on the same plant body. The same plant body which is developed from the homospores. This is you have to keep in your mind. It is the primitive condition in the pteridophytes. So next here, if all these spores produced are not same type of but different types are called heterospores. So this is the spore mother cell. If it is undergo meiotic division and 4 spores are produced, but these 4 spores are different size structures. So these spores are called heterospores. So in which there will be a we can see 2 kinds of spores we can see. So this one and this one are the smaller spores, and this one and this one are the larger spores. So the smaller spores are called microspores. The smaller spores are called what? Microspores. The taller, large sized spores are called macrospores. Macrospores. So usually these microspores developed into a male gametophyte. Macrospores developed into female gametophyte. So this condition is the advanced in sexual dimorphism result in the cross fertilization. It is this condition is leads to a cross fertilization because of producing macrospores and microspores. So in evolution, of plants, pteridophytes are intermediate between bryophytes and gymnosperms. All bryophytes are homosporous. All gymnosperms are heterosporous. So this is you have to keep in your mind when you take the plant kingdom. They are from plant kingdom. When you take first of all, algae comes under, then bryophytes should comes under, then pteridophytes should comes under plant kingdom, pteridophytes, and next group of plants are gymnosperms and angiosperms. These are the plant groups: algae, bryophytes, pteridophytes, gymnosperms, angiosperms. So these three are the non-flowering plants, A, B, P, or non-flowering plants, also called cryptogams. But here, when you take bryophytes, so bryophytes of sporophytes produce homospores, means all spores are similar. Gymnosperms produce heterospores, but pteridophytes produce both kind of spores, homosporous and heterosporous. So pteridophytes is the primitive or earlier pteridophytes are homosporous, later pteridophytes are heterosporous. So the primitive pteridophytes are generally homosporous. The advanced pteridophytes are heterosporous. So example for homosporous pteridophytes, Dryopteris and Pteris. Example for heterosporous, Selaginella and Salvinia. Selaginella and Salvinia. So this is, you have to keep in your mind, it is most important examination level. Once you have so there is now today we are going to discussing about the fourth question. Here already we studied it in third question, the somewhat matter, but here the question you have to uh, clearly understand what is heterospory, briefly comment on its significance and give two examples. So here already we discussed this definition. Heterospory, if the sporophyte produce two different kinds of spores. For example, the spore mother cell undergo division, meiotic division produces two small spores and two large sided spores. So because of producing two kinds of spores, so two different kinds of spores, that is macro spores and macro spores. So the condition in which the sporophyte produces two different kind of spores such as microspores and macrospores are called heterospory condition. So here already given answer. If all the spores produced are not same but different type, it is called heterosporous. Already we know that the smaller spores are called microspores, the larger one is called macrospores. Generally, these microspores germinate developed into a male gametophytes, whereas macrospores developed into a female gametophyte. Female gametophyte. So microspores which germinate into a male gametophyte, macrospores developed into a female gametophyte. And what is the importance of heterospory? So what is the need? What is the use of heterospory in the plant kingdom? So heterospory, it is a condition which is the advanced one, and it result in the development of the both dioecious organisms, dioecious plants like male and female. Male and female organisms are developed from the heterospore condition only. So that only if the male and female organisms are formed, two different gametes are produced, male gamete and female. Then there will be a cross fertilization is occurred. Cross fertilization is the most important to survival of the organism. Next, the sexual dimorphism result in the cross fertilization. So here because of producing two kinds of spores, macro and micro development of the male and female gametophytes, that is two plant bodies, that is male and female, then only they exhibit the sexual dimorphism. So sexual means gender, dimorphism means two forms. The same plant body will appear two forms, male and female. that is, it leads to cross fertilization. So in evolution after meiosis, out of 4 megaspores, one survive. This increases the better nutritional status for the surviving spore. So if from the 4 spores when they are developing, 3 will be disintegrate and finally one spore will be developed because of nutritional status. So from the 4 spores, only one should be developed. In the same way, let us take the protection increases for the surviving spore by developing integuments. And the gametophyte germinating from megaspore does not release outside and takes nutrition from sporophyte. So whatever the gametophyte developed from the sporophyte, which is on the sporophyte plant bud only. So wherever the spores are germinate, they are germinating on the sporophyte only. So this is the so here the heterospory. So here cross fertilization is occurred. Then when the cross fertilization is occurred, the most important crucial incident, that is when the cross fertilization is occurred, then there will be a seed formation we can see, and which can survive unfavorable conditions. If the cross fertilization is occurred, seed is formed which is control the unfavorable conditions, means conditions are not favorable, not suitable. At that time seed will be stored, and whenever conditions are favorable, seed will be germinate and produce the remaining pteridophytes plants. So only one healthy plant can develop from the seed. So because of by the heterospory, seed is developed formed. Because of seed is forming, seed help mainly it develop the healthy plant. So example for heterosporous plant pteridophytes are Selaginella and Salvinia. Selaginella and Salvinia pteridophytes are heterosporic plants because of they produce two kinds of spores, that is microspore and macrospore. Already you know that microspore responsible to development of the male gametophyte, macrospore responsible to development of the female gametophyte. Because of two plants are according to gender different, they develop different gametes. So male gamete nothing but microspore, that is male gametophyte which produce, that is male gametes, and female gametophyte produce female gametes, both of which cross fertilization is takes place. So that cross fertilization is result in the seed formation. So if the seed formation is occurred, seed developed a healthy plant. Example for heterosporic plants are Selaginella and Salvinia. So now let us go to the fifth question. It is the most important in this plant kingdom. Write so short note on economic importance of algae and bryophytes. So already I said total plants are divided into number one group is the algae, number two is the bryophytes, number three is the pteridophytes, P silent garayali. This is the T, and pteridophytes, and what we can say gymnosperms and angiosperms, from which A, B, P are the non-flowering plants, means they do not develop. But here they asked that algae and bryophytes. So in which way they are used in our daily life? Algae and bryophytes, in which way they used in our daily life? So let us take first of all algae. So algae are the non-flowering plants, nothing but cryptogams. They are the photosynthetic, which means they can prepare their own food. So algae are useful carbon dioxide fixation on the earth and through photosynthesis. So one and only the algae are the green plants. So they prepare the food material and also they may fix the atmospheric carbon dioxide and prepare the photosynthesis. So by the photosynthesis, we can get oxygen, water and food material. Next, they increase the level of dissolved oxygen in their immediate environment. So algae, when they are in water, they may responsible for, or when they are responsible to mainly increase the solubility of oxygen, dissolvability of oxygen. When the dissolve of oxygen is occurred, then there is a easy to taking the oxygen by the aquatic animals and other in this universe. Many species like Parpyra, Laminaria, Sargassum. Parpyra, Laminaria, Sargassum used as a food material, used as a, so algae is not only responsible to provide oxygen to this environment but also provide food. The food providing algae are Parpyra, Laminaria, Sargassum. So certain marine brown algae and red algae produce large amount of carrageenan and red algae. So red algae is mainly produces a carrageenan substance which is used in commercial way. Next, agar, which is developed from the red algae, often from red algae is called Gelidium and Gracilaria. So from these red algae, agar is developed. It is used to grow in the microbes in a tissue culture and also used in the ice creams and jellies. So agar which is responsible to development of the baby plants in the laboratory, that is in test tube babe, and also this agar is used to develop the used as a in micro, that is what, ice creams and jellies. So example for agar producing algae, Gelidium and Gracilaria. Gelidium and Gracilaria. Example for red algae. Next, we are going to the bryophytes. These bryophytes are called amphibious plants, amphibians. In plant kingdom, in which group of plants are called amphibious plants means bryophytes. So they grow usually damp and wet places, on the rocks, on the wooden of the trees. So bryophytes in general are little economic importance, but some mosses. So already said bryophytes divide into three classes, that is Hepaticapsida, Anthoceratopsida and Bryopsida. So Bryopsida class also called mosses. These provide food for herbaceous mammals and birds and other animals. So because of their growing wet places and damp places and vigorously on the cool area, so they are used as a food material. And species like sphagnum, the most important in examination level, sphagnum. Sphagnum is belongs to bryophytes, which is used in tissue culture to keep the tissue color, the culturing part should be keep in wet nature so that roots are developed from the that by the vegetative propagation. So sphagnum is used mainly, it acts as a peat that have long been used as a fuel, and also this is used as a fuel and because of their capacity to hold water. Already I said It is responsible to store the water and transshipment of living material. So mosses along with the lichens are the first organisms to colonize the rocks, and hence are of great ecological importance. So this point you have to keep in your mind. It is the most these mosses are responsible for the colonize the rocks, and also responsible to break down of the rocks and formation of the soil. So already you know that rocks soil is formed from the rocks because of activity of these bryophytes along with lichens, and they decompose the rocks, making the substrate suitable for the growth of the higher plants. Already I said these mosses nothing but bryophyta, nothing but bryophytes. They are responsible for to decompose the rocks for the making the substrate suitable for the growth of higher plants. So since mosses from the dense mats on the soil, they reduce the impact of falling rain, prevent soil erosion. So this point is most important because of they are growing as a carpet grass like, because of they hold the soil so not to erode to the rain and water. So because of these mosses like as a carpet grass, so they hold the soil, and then not to move here and there during wind, during rainy season, so that these bryophytes should hold the soil. Soil erosion will not take place. Soil erosion will not take place even these bryophytes or mosses plants are available in that area. Why? Because the holding capacity is more regarding to these bryophytes. So next to go to the sixth question. So now sixth question, how would you distinguish monocots and from dicots? So this question already we heard in lower classes onwards. Already you studied in lower dicots and monocots. So here already I said once again, the plant kingdom is divided into 5 groups. That is algae, bryophytes, pteridophytes, gymnosperms, and angiosperms. And angiosperms. Now for this question, for better understanding, this is we have to keep in our mind. Angiosperms have both kinds of plants. Angiosperms are divided into 2 kinds of plants, monocots and dicots. Angiosperms plants are mainly 2 types, monocots and dicots. So monocots means, for example, when you take a seed, now here they given dicots. It has 2 cotyledons in the seeds. Whenever we have taken the seed, imagine this groundnut, we can get to 2 halves. We can get it to halves. So here, if the seed consists of 2 cotyledons, so that is called a dicot condition. That plant is called dicot plant. So if the seed having only one carpel, so this is called a monocot. This is called a monocot. So if the seed have only one cotyledon, that is monocot. If the seed have 2 cotyledons, that is called dicot. So if the seed having 2 cotyledons of the seed is called dicot. If the seed have only single cot in the seed, it is called monocots. So root system is a taproot system. So usually in dicots, imagine this is the stem of the dicotic plant. So root is well developed and go to the deep, and also subsidiary roots are developed, so that the taproot system is very well developed in the dicots. In the same way, in monocots, there will be fibrous root system is there. So this is the stem. Imagine there will be small roots are formed bottom of the stem. So they are the fibrous root system. So generally when you take the leaves of these dicots, they are exhibited reticulate venation. Reticulate venation means, for example, I will show you, this is the leaf and which is having a midrib and to the veins and veinlets. So which is having like this, it is called reticulate venation. So leaf base is different types. So this is the leaf base and which is attached to the twig. This is entirely different. So the reticulate venation. So when you go to the monocots, the root system is fibrous root system, leaves are with parallel venation. Parallel venation means when you take, this is the leaf. So all the, sorry. So this is the midrib. Imagine this is the leaf and midrib. So leaves, the lateral veins are like a parallel, like a parallel. So straight, so that this venation is called parallel venation. Here zigzag manner. So this is called reticulate venation. So leaves of the dicots exhibit to reticulate venation. The leaves of the monocot exhibit to parallel venation. So the leaf base is sheathing. So when you take the rice plants, that is sugarcane, the sugarcane stem like this and have the nodes and internodes. When you take leaves from here to the attached and here it will be separated. So this is called a leaf petiole. It is a sheath-like structure. It is mainly present in, we can see in rose plants, rice plants and jowar and maize. In these plants, there will be a petiole sheath will be present, the leaf base. Flowers are trimerous. Flowers are trimerous, but in dicots, flowers are tetra and pentamerous. So what does mean penta and tetramerous? So flowers are generally tetra and pentamerous. If the flower have 4 floral parts, that is tetra. If the flower have in a whole 5, that is penta. So here only 3 or 3 holes, that is 3 parts only we can see in the flower, that is 3 parts only we can see, that calyx 3, corolla 3, like this we can see that plants are called dicots. So now let us go to the fifth point is in already I said the fifth point is pentamerous or tetramerous. If the whorl, which is, for example, flower has 4 floral parts, 1, 2, 3, 4. Outer whorl is calyx, corolla, androecium, and gynoecium. But each whorl, if it is having 3. So for example, calyx 3, corolla 3, and stamens are 3. So like this, in each whorl 3, then it is said to be trimerous. Whereas here, when we take in each whorl 5, 5, then it is called pentamerous. If in a whorl, 5 or 4 floral parts are floral, that calyx 5, corolla 5, like that they may arrange, that is called penta or tetramerous. So in dicots there will be a secondary growth will be occurred, secondary growth, whereas there is no secondary growth but they exhibit the anomalous secondary growth, means false secondary growth they may exhibit. So stems of the monocots exhibit false anomalous secondary growth, whereas dicot stems exhibit true secondary growth. Example for here, they given the root system and the leaf venation. In dicots, the root system is taproot system. In taproot system is nothing but there will be a main mother root, and to that mother root there will be other roots we can see. But whereas in monocot, the stem is all the baby roots developed on the same basal part of the stem. The baby roots are nothing but fibrous root system. When you take the leaf here, there will be a midrib is there. There are the veins are there, to the veinlets are there. This type of arrangement of the veins, veinlets, midrib is called reticulate venation. So here, when you take in monocots, that is there will be a leaf. Centrally, there will be a midrib, and these veins they may straight forward from bottom to top like this, straight parallel. This type of arrangement is called parallel venation. Now here prothallus. So let us discuss here. Seventh question. Give a brief account of prothallus. So in already we studied here. So this is a plant body, nothing but sporophyte plant body. And this sporophyte plant body at the terminal part it developed a sporangium. Inside the sporangium there will be spore mother cells, and these undergo meiosis, produce four spores. So these spores germinate to give rise to a inconspicuous small but multicellular free living mostly photosynthetic thalloid gametophyte is called prothallus. Here they given, this is you have to keep in your mind. Prothallus, it is the miniature plant body of the gametophyte which is developed from the spore produced by the sporophyte. సో ఈ యొక్క జనరల్గా ఈ యొక్క ప్రోథాలస్ అనేది ఒక మినియేచర్ ప్లాంట్ బాడీ ఆఫ్ గమిటోఫైట్ అని చెప్పవచ్చు. అంటే స్పోర్ నుంచి గమిటోఫైట్ డైరెక్ట్గా డెవలప్ కాకుండా ఒక స్మాల్ మిడిల్ ప్లాంట్ బాడీ డెవలప్ అవుతుంది. దాన్ని ఏమంటున్నాము అంటే జనరల్గా ప్రోథాలస్ అంటున్నాం. ఈ ప్రోథాలస్ ఉండేటువంటి క్యారెక్టరిస్టిక్స్ ఏంది? ఇట్ ఈస్ ఏ స్మాల్ but multicellular, and it can live freely, means it can prepare its own food because of it is a greenery. So which is like having a rhizoids, means roots like structure. So these prothallus, they can prepare food material themselves, so they are free living. So mainly photosynthetic and thalloid gametophyte. Already I said definition. Spores germinate to give rise to a inconspicuous small multicellular free living mostly photosynthetic thalloid gametophyte is called prothallus. So imagine this spore developed into a prothallus. Prothallus developed into a gametophyte like this. So in pteridophytes, these gametophytes require cool damp, cool, damp, shady places to grow. Already we studied bryophytes and pteridophyte. Maximum, they prefer to grow in cool, damp, wet, shady places. Cool, wet, damp, shady places. But in the same way, this Prothallus also grows in cool, damp, shady places. So because of this specific restricted requirement, the need for water for fertilization, the spread of living pteridophyte is limited and restricted to narrow geographical regions. So then only water is needed for the fertilization. The spread of living pteridophytes is limited and restricted to narrow geographical region. In gymnosperms, the prothallus grow inside the ovule and depends on the sporophyte for the nourishment. So the major differences between the prothallus in pteridophytes, the prothallus in the gymnosperms. So already you know that pteridophytes are the non-flowering plants and gymnosperms are the flowering plants, but they do not develop the fruit. So in gymnosperms, the prothallus is not independent. It is depends upon the sporophyte for the obtaining water and food materials. Whereas in pteridophytes, the prothallus is independently lives and it can prepare its own food. That is the major differences between prothallus regarding to the pteridophytes and gymnosperms. So prothallus may be male or female. That is monoecious and dioecious. Monoecious means on the same plant body, two sex organs are present. Dioecious means male sex organisms, female sex organisms are different. So in heterosporous condition, it is a dioecious. In homosporous, it is a monoecious. Already మనం డిస్కస్ చేసాము. హెటెరోస్పోరస్, డయోసియస్ అంటే ఇక్కడ ఒకే ఆర్గానిజం టూ ఫామ్ లో ఉంటుంది. సో ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ హ్యూమన్ బీయింగ్ అంటే మానవులు రెండు రకాలు, మేల్ ఫిమేల్. సో దట్ కండిషన్ ఇస్ కాల్డ్ డయోసియస్. సో మొనోసియస్ మీన్స్ సేమ్ one kind of organisms have the both sex organs, belongs to homosporous. So the gametophyte bear male and female sex organs are called antheridia and archegonia respectively. So if the gametophyte develop the male sex organs, usually male sex organs are called antheridia. Female sex organs are called archegonia. These two technical terms you have to remember. If the gametophyte developed the two sex organs, that is male and female, male sex organ is called antheridium, female sex organ is called archegonium. So now here, water is required for the transfer of antherozoids, the male gametes released from the antheridia to the mouth of the archegonium. So already if a gametophyte, for example, this is the plant body, the gametophyte, this gametophyte have developed the sex organs, two sex organs. This is the male sex organ, and is called antheridium. Antheridium, it is a club shaped, already we discussed, it is a club shaped one like a shuttlecock bat in which antherozoids are developed. And also in another branch there will be archegonium. It is a flask or flask shaped in which egg cell are present. To move from these antherozoids are the male gametes, to reach the female gamete, water is necessary. So to reach the mouth of the archegonium, the antherozoids, water is required. So fusion of male gamete with the female gamete inside the archegonium is the formation of zygote. Zygote thereafter produce a multicellular, well-differentiated sporophyte, which is the dominant phase of the pteridophytes. So finally, I will be a conclude when the antherozoid, that is male gamete, fused with the archegonium and developed the zygote. Male and female gametes fusion takes place. That is called fertilization. Fertilization result is called zygote. This zygote developed a sporophyte. So the sporophyte in pteridophyte, it is the dominant one. The gametophyte is the recessive one. So now it is also most important question. So draw the labeled diagram of female thallus and male thallus of a liverwort. Already I said bryophytes divided into three classes, that is liverworts, hornworts, and mosses, also called hepaticopsida, anthoceratopsida, and bryopsida. So female thallus, male thallus in liverwort, gametophyte and sporophyte of Funaria. So so imagine this. Now I will make you understand easily. Now I will draw. So both here they given. So both what they given, this one and this one, both are Markantia, belongs to bryophytes, class Hepaticopsida. So Markantia is available two forms. Female, it is the female one and it is the male one. So Markantia is available two forms, male Markantia, female Markantia. So if it is available in this way, two forms, that is called dimorphism. So this condition is called dimorphism because of having two separate thallus, that is female thallus and male thallus. So the female produce female sex organ is called archegonium, which is developed a stalk is called archegoniophore, and accessory reproductive parts also developed in a gemma cups. Root-like structures called rhizoids. Next is the male one, developed on a stalk is called antheridophore, in which antherozoids are produced. So this is about first A. Now B. The B question is Funaria. Funaria belongs to pteridophyte. The upper part from here to here it is called sporophyte. Here to here is called gametophyte. The sporophyte is the dominant one in pteridophytes. The gametophyte is the recessive. So the sporophyte have two parts, capsule and setae, whereas the gametophyte have three parts, rhizoids, stem axis, and leaves. So this is the regarding to the pteridophyte Funaria, and this is the bryophytes. Markantia belongs to bryophytes class, and Hepaticopsida. So these are the foremost question answers, most important questions in this